Heyo. I thought I would do a short demonstration on how I draw cartoons, and rather than the usual sketch drawings that I do. I'm using a digital sketchpad. I don't know the brand right away, but it has its own display, and I can draw directly onto it. And I'm also using that as my second monitor. So with any drawing doodle that I do, or any drawing that I do, I always start with 3 layers. I do the bottom layer for the background, and then the middle layer I set at opacity 30, around 30% for shading, and then of course the top layer for the actual sketch itself, for the drawing itself. And today I think we'll just do like a silly cartoon. We'll draw like a dweeb, a dorky character. And to start that off, I'll establish where the face will be with their eyes. And I'm gonna be doing a lot of like asymmetry, just to make it look dorkier as we go along. Make his eyes not focused in the right or the same area. Give him a little mouth with a, and then we'll do a huge dumb looking tongue. That. And then establish where his face is. Like that. And then I'll give him 2 dorky large ears. Make them different sizes. Again with the asymmetry. I think for fun we'll give him like a big bushy, almost like a fro or whatever. Go like that. Give him a skinny neck with a big Adam's apple. I think I'll put him in a shirt that looks slightly too big for his scrawny size. Put him in a t-shirt here. Like that. The sleeves really large. Put him in a twisty torso like that. I think I'll have him almost doing kind of like a ta-da, I'm here kind of thing. Now when I was a kid, back in the 90s, all of us kids would wear these belts. These white belts that hung all the way down our pants, and it was really stupid looking. So that's why I'm going to go ahead and add that to this dweeb here. Like so. Put the loop on his pants. For his belt. And then I'll have the belt go over the horizon line of his pants like that. Put another loop. Run the belt through it. And over the horizon. That. And then I'm gonna give him big baggy pants like we used to wear when I was a kid as well. Which also looked really dumb. We thought it looked cool then, but it didn't. Especially looking back at the pictures now. You ever do that? You look back and like cringe at just how lame you were as a kid. But it just seemed so cool at the time, you know? Like that, that'll be a pocket. And then for his arm, we'll give him like a scrawny arm like that with some fingers. Give him a elbow. Just like that. Like he's presenting himself like, "Hi, I'm here. Yay." And nobody cares. We'll put him in make his shirt like tucked in. I think when we were younger, we had our shirt hang over our big pants as well, but I won't do that for this one, just to show how lame the pants were. I'll put them in a shirt that's tucked in, because that looks even more special. Yeah. And then for the shading, I just leave it as the black pen that I'm using here. But being that the layer is at 30%, it just makes it really easy just to keep going and not have to change the color of the pen necessarily. I'll just shade just like that. Everywhere where it appears to overlap, I'll add a little shading. Maybe a little bit there. I'll put it in the shirt collar there, just to emphasize that the shirt's too big. Where it's tucked in. Yeah. Overlap on the arm. To the sleeve. Some fingers. I'm not gonna shade the tongue at the moment, because I think I'll go back and I'll color it, and then I'll shade the coloring. I'll show you how I go about doing that. For now, just to kind of, and then emphasize where the pants are baggy, where all the ripples are, a little shading there. On the belt that's overhanging pants. Yeah. Now the other thing I'll do with the shading is I'll go to the blur tool just to soften it up a little bit, and then I'll run it right along the edge of the shading just so it doesn't look quite as harsh. Soften it up just a little bit. And of course you don't have to do that. You can, maybe it's your style to leave the shading sharp and hard, like, hard edges and all that. That's up to you. Whatever you prefer. I prefer to soften it. For me, it kind of makes them, since it's a cartoon, it makes it look more like he's made of rubber to do that. There's no right way. Everybody has their style and their way of doing it. Yeah. Now, and that's I mean, that would pretty much be a wrap on the drawing if I wanted to keep it black and white. Just doing like where the hair, just kind of emphasize that the hair's fluffy and is doing overcast on his face there. Like I was saying, like if I wanted to just keep it as a black and white doodle, that would maybe more or less be the end of it. But I wanted to give an example of how to do color. So to do that, because if we go to color it now with the shading in gray like this, it's not going to look right on the color. So I'll deactivate the shading on this. And then to add color, I'll just add a new layer, but have it underneath the sketch. So that way when I'm coloring in, you're not coloring over the black lines. And usually for coloring also, I'll do each section in its own layer. So for example, I'm gonna color this character's skin. See, and zoom in a little bit to do that. Use the hand tool to move it around, like so. And I think I'll for this character's skin, I think I'll do green. And I'll just pick a green there. Maybe change the size of the pen, make it a little bit bigger so I can fill in the area of the skin a little quicker. And I'll just go right along the edge there. And what I'm gonna do first is right along where the edge of the sketch is, I'm gonna try to close it off with that color, and I'll show you why here in a second. Because I mean, I could just keep going, you know, and just scribble it all in and just go like that. Um, but I'm not going to do that. I'm going to show you a slightly faster way to go about it. And to do that, uh-oh. Sorry, I have an alarm going off here. Activate that alarm. I should have thought to deactivate that earlier. I apologize. I have an alarm that goes off every few hours just to let me know, you know, if I have the next chore to do or whatever. But I'm already doing a chore. I'm doing a drawing tutorial. So. But as I was, so just right along the edge here, trying to make sure that it closes off the green. Well, I'll just fill this in for now. The rest of it. And it's okay if you go outside the lines. You can always go back and erase it, like I did just a moment ago with the hair, when the green went up into the hair, like right there. I could leave it, and then, you know, because the hair layer is going to be above the green anyways. Actually, no, it's not. No, it's not. I'll explain why. I'm wrong. But there are tricks where you can, you know, you can leave if you have a little accident. Like if the hair, when I color it, is above the skin, then it'll cover up that slight imperfection anyways. So it's not that big of a deal. But so the reason I closed that off like that is, actually I'm going to go around the eyes here, is because I'm going to use the paint bucket and just dump the color in to fill in the rest. And now when I do that, it's going to leave a little bit of a white line, like it's not filled in. It's gonna leave a little bit of that, but it makes it easy. You can just fill it in. So go to the paint bucket, bloop, you know, just fill it in wherever. And then any area that's left with the white, and the reason the white is left there is because the brush has like a spread on the edge of it. And because it's not completely solid, it's like fluffy on the edge, so it'll leave a little bit of the white, but it makes it easier to fill in. You have less to fill in when you do that. Now for this guy, there wasn't a lot. Even I could have just, you know, filled it in by hand on my own, but because it's not a very large space, I'm just gonna soften right along the nose there. But I just wanted to do that just to give a demonstration of how if you did have like a much larger space to color in, you could just go right along the edge of where that color is going to be, fill it in with the paint bucket, and then fill in the white that's left over. So, that was just for an example. Get the rest of his skin here. Fill that in. Erase the slight and went out of the line there. Just erase it a little bit. Or you could leave it, you know, it doesn't matter. There's no right way to do it. Whatever works for you. And there are some cartoons where the color would go outside of the line on purpose, as a style. I know there were some of the Nickelodeon cartoons that would do that. You know, it would just imply the color in that space. And it looked fine. But for this one, I'm not going to do that. And then for the tongue and the hair, I think I'll keep that on the same layer. I'm gonna zoom out here a little bit. Yeah. And I think for the tongue, what color should we do for the tongue? I will do an orange tongue. I'll make it kind of bright. That. Actually, I'll backtrack here. I'm going to put it in its own layer as well, so that way I can go back if I need to correct anything. It'll make it easier just to focus on that one layer to do so. And not affect, the layer that the skin is on, the green skin or whatever. Again, I could just use the paint bucket to fill in that space, but, there's not much there. I'll just do it myself. And then for his hair, I think I'll give him pink hair. Bright pink hair. And notice that because the layer is above the skin, wherever the green went over, I'm just painting over it. Gets rid of it. Fine. Just like that. I noticed I went over on the hair on the skin, and I can go back and correct that too, or I can leave it because it's not much. I think I will do the paint bucket trick here for his hair. So just fill it in, close it off, that space there, and then paint bucket, bloop. Leaves a little bit of the white line, but easy to get rid of, just like that. Yeah. And I'll go back to the skin layer. And then to get the right color, you select the paint tool, click on the color you want, fill it in. Let me see, actually. Oh no, what I have to do is I have to delete because the hair overlaps the skin, so I just go like that. Yeah. So for the shading, what I'll do is I'm gonna go to the skin, and then I select the color palette, the color picker they're calling it. Select the green, but then I'll make it just a slightly darker green, like that, and make a new layer that'll be on top of the skin, so that way if I need to, I can correct the shading. I think I'll change the pen size there, just make it a little smaller. Yeah. See here, just the green. Oh, well, first of all, it's got to be on the pen tool, not the eraser, right? Brush tool. There we go. And then change that size. Actually, 4 will probably work. I'll keep it 4. Then do a little shading. Oh, nope, it's a little much. I'm going to make it just a little smaller. There we go. Do some shading. Again, just like the shading when it was black and white, just wherever it overlaps. Add a little bit of darker green there. And then the shirt overlaps. A little bit on the fingers. You overlap. Yeah. And then I get the blur tool, blur it right on the edge, just so it doesn't look as harsh. You don't want to soften it too much, or otherwise it gets rid of the shading. It'll blend it into the other color, just to the point to where you almost don't even see it anymore. So just a little bit, just a touch. Boop, boop. Just a touch. Turn it up there. Yeah. And then for the tongue, you select the layer that you colored the other object. Select the color picker. Select the orange, and then just make it a little darker. Make a new layer. That's on top of that. Make sure you have your your paintbrush selected, like I didn't do last time. And then just a little shading. Just right there. I think, then I'll get the blur tool, soften it right along the edge, just a little. And then just add a little extra detail to make the tongue look wet or rubbery. I'll get white. Make it just a little smaller maybe. Make it 2. See how that looks? And I'll just do a little on the layer, not on the brush tool. I keep forgetting to select the brush tool. I get ahead of myself. Let's try 3. See what it looks like. Let's do a little bloop. A little bloop. Maybe one on this part. Bloop. Maybe one on the bottom. Might be too many bloops. So I'll just do the 2. And then the blur tool right along the edge. You don't want to blur too much, it'll blend it right back into the orange there. Yeah. I think I'll do a little bloop on his nose too. Just a little bloop. And then a little blur. A little bit of blur. Just to make his nose look round and shiny. And then for the hair, what I'm going to do, same idea. Select the color picker. Pick the pink. Make it a little darker. And I'll do it on the same layer here. Color it. And then just make it a little darker along the hairline here. A little darker. Just to differentiate it from the rest. And the overlap of the ear. Yeah. Right, a little bit there. Maybe even a little bit on a few of these spiky tips. Not too much, just a little bit. Just a little bit. And then I'll go ahead and blur that along the edges as well. Just so it doesn't look as harsh. Make it look a little softer. And what I'll also do is kind of like I did with the gleam on the nose and the tongue. Go back to white here. I'm gonna do. We're gonna see what it looks like. We're gonna do like a gleam in the hair. And to do that, I'll kind of make sure my paintbrush is selected again. I'm just gonna right in there, just do a little something. See how that looks. I might go back, but we'll see. Do a little blur on the edges there. And that's just to make the hair look shiny or slick back or whatever. Well, I guess it's not slick back, it's a fro, but you know. Hair gets like oil in it or whatever. Maybe I'll do one on his ear. Let's really make him just look like a shiny, bubbly, rubbery cartoon. And then blur it again to soften it up. Yeah. And so what I would do with that at that point is you know, like after you color everything, and I'm not going to do everything for this example, I just wanted to give like a brief overview of how I would go about doing like a cartoon style image. And this could be used as a, you know, like an emote or whatever in your stream. Likely, if you wanted to do that, because it's going to be relatively small, you would use a bigger pen size so the black lines show up a little bit more for detail. or you know, you could use it for a banner. You could use it for whatever you want, you know. But then I would merge all the layers except for the background to once everything's colored, merge it all together to make it one final image. Merge layers, just like that. See how I can turn it on and off now, and it's all one image. Yeah, but that's just basically how I would go about that style of drawing. I don't do a lot of cartoons. I certainly don't do very many like colored images, but I just thought this would be a fun example of, you know, how to go about that. So, anyways, I think that'll be a wrap on this demonstration, at least for now. And until I can never find it. There we go. Otherwise, until next time.